What is going on, my YouTube familia? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back into another banger of a video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing my experience with vertigo, which I believe was caused by my acid reflux. Now, let me tell you as to why I believe that it was caused by my acid reflux. First and foremost, that day that I started feeling the dizziness and the head spinning, and I feel like the room was spinning. I had eaten something that was acidic and something that was spicy, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what it really was because I really don't recall it. Like everything got taken over in my mind and my head once I started, feeling the vertigo. Of course, at the moment, I didn't know that it was vertigo until I end up going to the ER. So this is a story that I'm about to tell you. So I was playing video games, as you see right in my setup, and I had my headphones on me, and I was playing, and I remember doing some slight movement, kind of going like this. But I usually do that when I crack my neck or and I'm just like feeling a little stress on either side of my neck because I sleep sideways. So, I was just feeling, stretching it out a little bit, but I noticed that when I went to my side, that like when I came back up, I felt like my head was, kind of dizzy, or at least my vision was kind of feeling dizzy and kind of off. And I did it again to make sure that, it wasn't anything unusual, but it happened again. And I was like, it is unusual. Hold up, something's going on. So what I did was I got off my game and I actually went to the ground on my floor. I just relaxed, stayed back, and just laid flat, looking up into the ceiling. But I noticed that I felt like the room was spinning, and I was like, "Oh my God! Like, what is going on?" In that moment, I called my mom to go downstairs because I live in the basement, and I told her what was going on, and I remember just laying down and still feeling, like the room was spinning. Every time I walked, actually, I felt like I was like, tilting and, kind of like a, when the penguin walks, they kind of look like they walk sideways. I felt like something like that. And I was walking and I felt like, I was as if, when you have the drunk goggles on, when they practice it, I remember the school back in the day, they used to give you like the drunk goggles. They used to walk and it made you just wobble to kind of experience how it felt like to be drunk and walking. Well, it was something similar to that. I don't know why that came up in my head at the time, but I was like, this is not normal. So I laid on my floor for a minute and I got really nervous, of course, because I've never had that. Like, I already have plenty of health issues, right? Just to name some, the acid reflux, and GERD, having surgeries for that, catheter ablation, plantar fasciitis, processitis, you name it, just another thing on top of it, right? So I'm over here really nervous. So I told my mom, I was like, look, just take me to the hospital because I don't want this. If it's something major, I don't want it to get worse. So I end up going to the hospital, and of course, my head still feels very off, still feeling dizzy. And I remember being in the ER, and they gave me some medication for nausea because I was feeling nauseous and I feel like throwing up. If you guys know my story, I do have the Lynx implant on me right now, and the reason I say this is because I can't really throw up. So usually the nausea medication helps me a lot because whenever I feel like throwing up or I want to throw up, nothing much really comes out. It's just me dry heaving a lot, which is very unfortunate, but it is what it is. So they gave me some medication for that while I waited for the results. They did some blood work. They also asked me a lot of questions, and out of all those questions that I answered, I remember towards the end of the conclusion, they were like, we believe you have vertigo. And I was like, vertigo? My mom has that. Or my mom gets that from time to time. Again, I'm not sure if this is hereditary. That's a hard word for me to pronounce. So that was good it came out. That's a hard, tough word for me. English is our second language, and that was hard to pronounce. I had to practice that word for a while. But yes, so I didn't know if it was that. And I don't know if that's a possibility, to be honest, which I don't think. I will have to do my research on that. So if you're on your end, yeah, definitely try to do the research on that and see what comes up. But I was like, the only reason I knew what vertigo was at the time because my mom, had suffered from something like that. And when I went to the hospital, they told me that it was vertigo, and I was really surprised because, uh, you know, I never thought that I would have had something like that, like having vertigo and started suffering all these uh, dizziness, and then feeling just the lightheadedness, and that was very very weird. Now I came back home and I ended up just laying in bed, just relaxing, and after a while, I ended up falling asleep because typically when I'm suffering from issues like that are going and lasting into the night, I usually end up falling asleep. Now sometimes I wake up feeling better, sometimes I wake up feeling worse. Whatever the case may be, my body feels tired and it just ends up going to sleep. So I ended up going to sleep, and I ended up waking much better than I was the night before. Ever since then, it never came back, and it's it's very very weird and uncalled for. Now let me try to tie in things, of course, as to why I believe it was my acid reflux. Right. First of all, I've talked to people that have suffered from acid reflux and GERD in general, and they have confirmed with me that they have experienced something similar. I'm gonna shout out Violet, who just had her knee fundoplication recently. She found me through my channel, and we're talking, back and forth through text or through Instagram. And we actually one time, she told me that she, that was a thing. Like, sometimes she gets the dizziness and the lightheadedness because of her acid reflux, and putting two together and then reading on other sites as well that other people have suffered from it. I talked to several people, but she was just like, yeah, even my doctor has told me that can be a thing. And I was like, no wonder that happened to me one day, right? And that's when the idea of making a video came up. So she told me about that, and then of course I felt that. And this is the craziest part too, not just that experience itself, right? I don't want to make it just that. But whenever I seem to eat something that's very spicy or very acidic, not only does my chest feel off because of the acid or whatever's going on in there, but I also feel like I get lightheaded. And it only happens when I eat certain foods that create a lot of discomfort in this area. Like, I'm not sure what the correlation is between, having I guess acid reflux symptoms, and then having or feeling some type of lightheadedness or sometimes wobbly. To be honest, it's very weird. Maybe I'm assuming that it could be that the acid is going all the way to your esophagus, and maybe sometimes even causing some aspirations. But I think it all has to do because of the acid and those symptoms. Again, this is just my experience. I don't want you to think that I'm saying something that's set in stone or there has been crazy research on it. But I've noticed that there's a correlation between, acid reflux sufferers and, sometimes I guess getting those vertigo issues or problems in general, right? So that gave me, kind of like a pause. And I started thinking back, backtracking, and I was like, man, every time I feel like I eat something that's really spicy or really acidic, I feel like I have those issues of me feeling like just some type of dizziness, man. I can't really explain or the lightheadedness that I get, but it feels very weird, and it feels like randomly. And I know it's not anything else because I usually, whenever I go to ERs or my medicals per year, I get my blood work done, I get extensive anything done, right? And it's only been happening to me after I started suffering from GERD. So all of that adding together kind of gives me the conclusion of like, that acid reflux probably is causing some of that vertigo. And it's only the craziest part, it was this time that I'm telling you about, this one time that it happened. But I've had other like minor situations and minor occasions where I feel like it's causing some type of dizziness, and it feels, or I'll call it more lightheadedness that I get from the acid or the reflux itself. So this was one of my first major experiences that I had. So if it were to happen to me again, I think I would definitely try to be more aware of the situation, and maybe even more aware of what I ate that day, to put two and two together, right? And the doctor seemed to tell me that it wasn't anything major that I should be worried about, or any concern, because it was my first time that I've ever had that situation. It doesn't happen, it's not like a thing that happens constantly. So I'm not even too concerned about if it's something else. But I did want to share that story with you guys because I'm sure that some of you have suffered from something similar, and it's very weird. Again, it never like ceases to amaze me how much your acid in your stomach and those organs are so important and vital to like the way your body functions. Like, God made us, first of all in his image, right? But he made us so complex and so complicated, and at the same time so beautiful, that like if something goes wrong on one end, it will probably affect something else. We're just a big machine with a lot of different wires put together, and it's awesome, but at the same time it's very complicated, and sometimes there's answers that you'll never know, and they will remain unknown. And I don't just speak for myself, I speak for other people as well, right? Sometimes it's just part of something that I have to live with. And that was just another scary moment of my health issues and what I suffer from. I like to consider myself that I'm pretty decently healthy. When I get my blood work done, when I get my physical, everything comes out really good. I remember getting my chest. I remember getting the PFT, I was called, the pulmonary function something exam, from my lungs, and that came out above average. But because of my acid reflux, sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to breathe sometimes, right? Where like I have like major when I have like major symptoms, or I have having like major flare-ups, I feel like sometimes it's hard to breathe. I feel like my chest is tight all the time. But when I actually got a test done for my lungs, and the way they were functioning came above average of a person my age, right? And I was like, that's wild, because I would have thought that my lungs would have been as healthy because of my acid reflux, but it turned out they're in great shape. So again, I feel like it's so much that, the gut health and the stomach health can affect your body, that, something that, again, is very beautiful the way we were made, but again, it's very, very complicated, and that's a very unfortunate part. I don't want to keep rambling. I don't want to make this video longer than it is, but hopefully you got something, from my experience, and hopefully you learned something from it. And if you have an experience and you suffer from something similar to that, or maybe you have an opinion or somewhere where you did your research, I would like to know. I would love for you to comment on the comment section of the YouTube video, and write it out so people also can read it, so I can read it myself, so I can become more knowledgeable. But it seems to be like there's a correlation between those. And of course, make sure you go see your doctor. I'm not a professional. I'm not giving you any advice. I'm just letting you inside my world and my journey and my experiences of what I go through, because it's not easy living like this, especially when some health issues cause other health issues, and it's very unfortunate. But it is what it is. You got to keep your head up. You got to keep your head high. Remember what you're fighting for every day. Remember that you're fighting for your family, your purpose, your life. And as complicated as it may seem, you have to keep fighting, right? You don't want to let your symptoms define who you are as your person. You don't want to let it define your life. So you have to keep going. You got to keep fighting. And those are some of the words that I live by. I get it. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you just want to be down, right? But eventually, you have to make a decision on what to do next. So I hope that sticks with you guys, and it's something that again helps me a lot. Thank you guys for liking my channel, for subscribing, for watching my videos, for giving me all the love and support. I really appreciate it. It's been a blessing sharing my experience with you guys, and we'll look forward to making more videos and bringing you more content every week. So thank you guys for the love. See you guys in the next one. Take care of each other. Peace and love, baby.